Hello, everyone, and welcome to my umpteenth attempt to try to record this. So, this is exactly 10 syllables per line, and I'm trying very hard not to add or delete any words as I go along. It's called The Old Dark King. I wrote it several years ago. I really hope you all enjoy it. Let's begin. The Dark King stared ahead at the kingdom of the gods above, anger pouring from the very depths of his once silent soul. Their wrath fell terribly on his pupils, scattering their mortal bodies like dust. Nothing except the God King could do that, the Dark King knew. Never could his students fall so easily to any other force, not to such weak beings, not with how he had trained them all their lives. The strongest of all humanity, strong enough to fight the gods that had failed the universe. Only one problem stood in their way, one that he himself would have to fight and kill, not only for the sake of his students, but for the sake of his own damaged soul. The God King thrust another bolt of light at the humans beneath him, standing such as a man about to crush an ant. A foot raised in the form of a powerful spell, it came crashing down, then was swallowed in total darkness. In that black abyss, the God King was reminded of ancient terrors that he had long since abandoned, and he looked up in horrid shock at the face of the only God he had ever feared in the whole of his immortal life. A God he had long thought to have been dead. A God he hadn't seen in so many centuries that his existence was thought to have been erased from the universe. He stared as a man with dark hair and a black ceremonial garb of about 50 years of age stepped forward, and with that step ripped away the God King's power from the battlefield below them. The void radiated from the old man in front of him, and the other gods turned in shock as they witnessed this battle of total opposites collide. They stepped back in sheer terror as seething hatred molded with the darkness. The old man looked up and spoke. You have taken a power that does not belong to you, a power of someone more wonderful and more worthy of it than you. You killed my goddess of light and stole from her all she held dear. At first I believed she had sent me to earth to hide me from you. Now I know better. She had sent me here to prevent my rage from turning me into a god of destruction. To prevent me from tearing down all she loved, she sent me as an immortal human to earth. I learned once again to love, to trust, and I became the father of my 3 most important students. I know now I am not just a god, I am much more. I am the Dark King, a teacher of people who will eventually surpass the gods themselves. I am their teacher, I am their father, and as their teacher, as their father, it is my duty to remove those that would impede them from their own true path, and to leave a trail in front of them to follow towards their own future. It is time for gods to die, and time for the age of humanity to take over. Now come, you are the final obstacle to remove from their way. The old Dark King rose, his arm and darkness rushed to the God King. Humans and gods alike watched as night and day collided. They watched the desperate God King fend off attack after attack as he was pushed back by his most ancient of enemies. Even in his top form, even with eons of rest from his forced exile, even with the seal of the gods finally removed, allowed to roam earth once again, he found himself staring at the same enemy that had defeated him since the beginning, and as fear soon overcame him, so did the darkness come to surround him. The battle was over. The God King died just as he would have so many millennia ago when he was not a king at all, in the darkness. The God leapt at him, only to be met with a horrible downward force. The Dark King collapsed onto his knees and fell to the side. In a flash, 3 humans, 2 males and 1 female, were at his side. The Dark King's children were there at his side, just as he had always been at theirs. He laughed and closed his eyes as peace watched over him. At last, I can finally rest. His children stared in tempered shock. The woman began to speak, only for her words to be cut short. No, do not be sad. It is the way of the world. It is no longer my time. I cannot even save myself from death. No, it is time for you to finally be on your own. It is time for you to fight on your own. The Dark King coughed, and his form clouded, leaving their reality for an instant. I do not even have the power to save your world completely. Instead, I will do the world one last thing. The gods shall be sealed one final time. They will disappear from the world for 10 years, the final 10 years I can grant you. You must learn to hone your powers by then, and to surpass all the divine beings. You can do it. After all, your powers were given to you by the greatest of us, and you are the strongest of all humans. I believe in humans. I believe in you. He shuddered and closed his eyes as he let out his final breath. The darkness had enveloped and once again sealed the gods in their divine palace. Cries of joy ripped through the air. Only 3 did not join in with the cries of their fellow men. They stared at the ground where the most powerful man in the world had disappeared, not into darkness, but into rays of gorgeous light. The end. Oh my god. I have been trying to record that for so long now. Like I said, every line is exactly 10 syllables long. So every single time I would add one word or one syllable, or I would take one syllable away by accident, dismiss a word, I would start over. I literally got to like the last 5 lines when I messed up the last couple of times. It's driving me insane. I hope you all really liked it. I worked really hard on it. Have a wonderful night, and I hope to see you all again.